Afternoon, everybody. You got Mike Ash here with the ABCs of Home Improvement. Today, we're going to have a special show. We've got Laborio Durerio with me today. Why don't you say quick hello, Lee?
Hey, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to try and throw something a little different out there at you, listening out in the audience.
We're
going to get to know the show host today. We're going to sort of do a biography show today. And since Earl is out in the field doing some work, I'm presuming he will call in at some point. We'll fill in the blanks for Earl and what Earl's history is.
That should be interesting
Okay?
in itself.
And since I know Earl since he was a little shaver, I have a lot of childhood stories that we could bring up today. So today, if you have a home improvement question, though, 651-1110, feel free to call in with it. But we are going to first, get you folks a little more acquainted with who the ABCs of home improvement hosts are, because sometimes we get emails that ask, what's your
you guys
story?
really understand the business?
Where do you come
know
from?
it?
So we're going to start off with Mike. I'm going to do the little interview, the little essay with Mike.
All right.
We're going to start off with Mike Ash, the origins of Mike Ash. Where did Mike Ash originate, Mike?
I came out of New York City. I grew up in the Bronx. I went through all the basic good schools in the Bronx, the public schools, the mid schools. Graduated from DeWitt Clinton High School. Those out there, yeah.
There you go. That's nice. Now wait a minute. We went pretty fast right through high school there, Mike.
High school is.
Let's back it up just a few steps there.
You want to go back, huh?
The folks just want to know, what was the first car you drove, Mike, when you were behind?
I had a '67 four-door hardtop Chevy Impala.
That Impala, big steel, they call that. That was the biggest steel on the road.
My uncle got me involved. He lived up in Hopewell Junction, and the Muller Milk Company was in that area. And the head mechanic, boy, you're bringing back thoughts now. He was able to discuss with him that his nephew needed a car. So sure enough, this car we purchased for I think $1,000 in those days was the Impala, exactly, and it had all the maintenance he had done on the inside visor on the driver's side, which was pretty impressive. He wrote down everything he did to that car.
That was nice. That was the only car I think made that had 2 spare tires in that trunk. It was
that
colossal,
car was
right?
so big, it was amazing.
That was an amazing
It had
car.
a steering wheel that covered the width of your chest.
That was great. I remember those. I remember the 2 doors. We had a friend of mine, Jerry Howard. I'm going to throw this. He was out in Manhattan, Kansas.
Uh-huh.
He had a green mist-colored one with a green vinyl interior. 2-door. It was the fastback, and we called that the Green Mist. That was the Green Mist.
I had a gold 4-door, gold interior. I could sleep in the back seat full length. That's how big it was. It was amazing. It was the car that drove all the guys around, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so speaking of driving the guys around, Mike, because you are known as the wheelman every once in a while in certain
I'm the
circles.
one that stays alive, that's it.
Where's your first road trip with that car?
Oh, I think Massachusetts for a cup of tea.
Nice. Not the tea party, just a cup of tea.
That's just the key.
Very nice.
Yeah, that car was a great car. I had it till 71. That car I met my wife with. We rode that car right through college, right through high school and stuff of that nature, too.
Yeah, those were the days, right?
They were
a couple of spark plugs and a PVC valve, and off you went to the
the best
filter.
thing I remember, putting $3-4 in the car and lasted all weekend.
Unbelievable, right? You did that and you had the spare tank in the back.
Yeah, there was plenty. There was another tank in the back. That was filled up on a weekly basis. Yeah. That was an air pressure situation that we just filled up, and we kept our tonics going at that point.
Very nice. So, Mike, let's talk about the times when you were sort of out there with your car and you were dating and you met your wife, Mike.
I met my wife.
The future Mrs. Ash.
Mrs. K. Ash, I met in high school. In the last year of my senior year, we were introduced by a good friend, and she was planning on going to Europe to see family.
Oh.
And so I met her, I guess I had senior prom. She was going at that point with a friend, and I was introduced to her, and sure enough, I invited her to a party. And I said, look, we went out the first time, and I said, look, I'll give you a call as soon as I have a party at the house. And she kept waiting and tried following me around till she ran into me more than I ran into her.
Oh, the game, the tables turn. The game is afoot, Mike.
So we hung out from senior year till about 3 years or so, till I finished 4 years of college. And then I went out and I surprised her a month before our wedding with a 71 Pontiac Le Mans I was driving in those days.
Ah,
the old 400s, yeah.
Those were nice.
Two-door.
Those were fast.
Yeah, they were quick. Yeah, they really were. And then from there, I went to my first college. It was RCC, Rockland Community College. I think I was the first one from New York City in that school back in the 60s.
I think when I go there, I see there's a plaque there they have for you, Mike.
Yeah, it's right next to
nice.
the jail
the
building.
Performing Arts Center. over there. Very good.
And I met a few teachers prior to actual school and extra activities all the time.
Of course, man. Those what years were those, Mike, for the folks listening?
Oh, let's see. High school graduation was 67.
Right, 67. So
And I
these
went
are the
from
60s.
there till 69 to RCC.
Nice.
And then I made a big trip back to Manhattan. I graduated out of Baruch University.
Oh, very good.
I was a business major. I graduated with a number of different business majors, degrees at that point, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I took a BA.
Very nice. Very nice.
A BA in Baruch University was pretty interesting in those days.
I'm
and,
sure. You met a lot of nice...
I did day
Did you meet
school.
Abby Hoffman? Were you in the same circles as Abby?
Abby tried to sell me an elevator pass.
That's it.
Still trying to sell the elevator passes. That went on for a while. Then my last semester I actually did at night school. I was getting married already. I was married at 21.
Oh, very nice, Mike.
I was just 21 years old, a blushing groom, and getting ready to get married.
Nice.
I actually had to take a full-time job at that point also.
I think most people, when they get married, have to do that, Mike.
I did about 8 jobs that first year, though. It just wasn't a steady thing.
Yeah,
It just kept learning, and interest was there. As soon as it stopped being interested, I tried something else.
Very nice.
And then I went into the housing business. I think my first group of cabinets I actually made were in the medical field.
Very nice. Where was your first job, Mike? Where did you have your first job that you did your first install of cabinetry?
Medical buildings. I worked out of Valley Cottage in Rockland County. We were doing offices. We were retrofitting
Nice.
dental offices and individual doctors in those days.
Very nice. That's a nice job. It sounds like a fun job.
It was great.
You know?
They were pretty consistent laminate work. They had that swinging door for the garbage pail, which I guess we put on every single job.
Yes.
Pretty much standardized. The only thing different between one doctor to another was how outrageous they wanted to go with colors.
Medical. So there must
From
have been some
canary
good money
yellows.
involved there, Mike, with that
They
project,
kept
right?
the kids coming, I'll tell
Sure.
you that.
Kids. Oh, that's right. So you're married now and had a couple of these medical jobs and didn't learn your lesson. So now
Yeah.
kids are
Then
coming.
kids came, right.
Okay.
I have my son, who's now in his 30s, who's a commercial insurance agent.
Yes. Very
I have
nice.
a daughter who's now home with her first child, about a month old. Say hello to Ari.
Very nice, Mike. Yes.
And then the wife stayed home for quite a while until they reached junior high school.
And the children's names, Stevie and,
Steve and Jamie. Yeah,
Yes.
Jamie lives nearby. She's in Harriman.
That's
And
right.
That's close by, so I can see my new grandson regularly.
That's right.
And my son's up in Cicero, which is about 7 miles north of Syracuse.
Nice. Very nice.
And he already has his first son, and his wife's pregnant with the second one.
Mike, so there you go. So you're looking at grandchildren all around now.
I have 2 grandsons right now.
Unbelievable.
Then after the medical, I went into residential. And then I started building that level up until I got to the point where I was renovating apartment houses.
I remember. That's right.
I was back in the Yonkers White Plains section
That's
in those
right.
days.
Multiple units.
Yeah,
Multiple
I was
units.
known to do nothing but multiples in those days. I wouldn't look at anything under 60 units.
The kids were very young then. You were definitely out there making the money, Mike.
I was trying to push in those days, yeah. Now I work with individuals. Well, I won't get that far.
No,
ahead.
let's not jump to the consulting phase of your life yet,
Right,
Mike.
you're right.
Let's take a break, and we're going to come back with a little more on Mike, and then I guess we'll turn it over to Earl, who's not here, and we'll give him about 2 minutes, okay? So give us a call, 651-1110, with any questions you
Give me a
have.
shout. I'll answer your questions.
With any building or renovation questions you may have.
Welcome back, folks, to the ABCs of Home Improvement here on 1110. We're here, Lee and Mike, and the absentee Earl, doing a autobiographical show. And we are now interviewing Mike, getting through his stages of children and the different phases of his business career and the different vehicles that he used throughout his career, moving himself from place to place. So, Mike, let's get back to where we were.
Oh, I was just renovating apartment houses at that point. I was doing a few hundred, almost
Very good.
1,000 per building, and things were going well. And then I said, time for one more change in my life. Let me get myself a little bigger building. Let me set up a couple of factories. Let me set up a showroom. That was back in '84 in Pearl River, New York.
That's right, Mike. Dexter Plaza.
That's
Boy,
right. That was
the
my
world
cash
headquarters.
company at that time.
That was great.
And then '85, I guess you and I kind of hooked up around that time.
That's right. We met at a Builders Association.
No.
That's right.
Before
Okay.
that, I was belonging to the Building Association of Rockland,
Right.
as well as Hudson Valley and other places in Jersey. And we were in need at that point for someone I thought would to redo the cover of the Hudson
Oh, that's
of
right,
the
the
Rockland
cover.
You right?
That's right. That's
I
right.
said, Lee, I got
That's
to.
it.
We met. I guess you had called up the building. I guess you were looking for something at that point. We kind of met and clicked right away. I brought you into the association. of Rockland initially, and then you did the cover right off that first
That
year.
was great. That was a great. Yeah, I think
That was
I
a good
did
intro.
5 or 6 covers with them while I was in there.
That was great.
That was fun.
You got your name out pretty quick.
Very quickly.
We used to have a monthly meeting.
Yeah, and a
We
limousine.
well, I was getting to that. We would take that monthly meeting one step further. After the meeting, we would usually have a white limo outside, take a couple of builders out for the evening, and go into Manhattan.
That was great.
And then we
Mike.
learned the other side of what these guys did and became relationship-wise pretty close. And I became, at that point, what they call a stocking distributor in Rockland County of kitchen cabinets. So here I've done medical, I've done kitchen cabinets, and some of my contractors were also involved in those days and still are on commercial jobs. So we, in turn, because I had the factory facility, would then create and do those type of commercial jobs needed, whether it be a medical, an automobile dealership, whatever it might be. And our relationship, Lee and I, have been going back now over 20 years.
Exactly. Mike.
Probably closer to 25.
That's
We
great.
really start squeezing the years
Great.
out.
Yeah, I would say in kids and grandkids. You watched me have my 3 kids.
Yeah, sure did.
And I saw your kids grow up and have their 2 grandkids so far. So
That's pretty good.
it's unbelievable, Mike, isn't it?
You know, some people come and go in my life as they do in others also, but I've now been in the cabinet industry over 25 years. I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed the people I've met. I didn't like everybody I've met, but majority of the people are pretty nice.
Yeah, Mike, you've had a good run on your career so far. It's been great. And now you're sort of in the consulting phase, sort of.
Well,
you
then
know.
we went from 84 back in the Pro River days.
Oh, that's
So,
right.
About 15 years I stayed in that building supplying builders and contractors in the Rockland and Hudson Valley.
Mike, what was your average job like? Like a builder would come in and say maybe he was doing 3 or 4 houses at that point. I mean,
Well, they were
how did
base
it work?
kitchens. Back in the 80s, there were laminate kitchens in the 70s. And the big color was an almond with a wood pole. So you did a kitchen and 2 bathrooms, maybe 3 bathrooms. And
I
that
remember those
trend-
colors, Mike. That's
yeah,
right.
I inventoried about 4 trailers always at a time.
I remember always going down to your warehouse down there, and it was stocked. And this here's the jobs going out today, tomorrow, and then you were stacked up for 3 weeks. There was no room in there. Remember at one point,
I
it was
kept
heavy.
I kept the
heavy.
9-month calendar as much as I could.
That was great.
Yeah, life was good. We had enough people. We had enough factory people going on. We enjoyed Christmas. We enjoyed the holidays.
We had a
well.
lot of parties there, Mike. You threw some great shindigs.
I brought all friends together to maintain business in the same atmosphere that I always enjoyed.
That's right.
And then we did that for a while. And then about 8 years ago, I guess, at that point, I ceased operation in Pearl River. And then I started going out back to what I've always enjoyed, not running businesses, but running jobs in the field, knowing the situations, being able to see in the first. I always had a standard setup when I walked on the job. Give me 10 minutes. I'm out of here. Just let me look around a little bit, see what's going on.
I remember that, Mike.
Yeah.
That's good. That's the best procedure.
And then I would just let the foreman know that I need this and this done by the next day. And do me a favor, take a look at this one spot over there. I'm not pretty happy with it. So make that correction. Make sure it's up to date. If you need anything, make sure 3 o'clock you got the guy coming around with the truck. Whatever has to be done will be done the next morning in the shop. And we'll take care of it by the following day.
Very nice, Mike.
And then I used to have multiple residential jobs running. I had a job in Spring Valley where we converted hundreds of units. And all because I was clever enough to figure out his problem. He was unable to open up an inside corner in the kitchen. The drawer would bang into the stove. So I was able to correct 40 problems over a 1 weekend situation, in turn inherited that job.
That's great, Mike. There you go. Troubleshooting, also a big one.
And when you stay in the field over 20-some-odd years,
see
you
it.
get a chance to see almost everything. You know, if not, you keep your eyes open to see what variations are taking place.
Nice.
Now, over the times, houses have gotten bigger. Bathrooms have now gone up to, most houses have 3 bathrooms now, at least they should. That would be the most ideal situation. And the only thing that's changed for my career is not with the wooden handle anymore. Now we've gone mostly to woods. Maple and
Woods,
cherry right
yeah.
now are predominantly what's being sold.
And what type of pulls are they using? What type of hardware?
That to me is like jewelry. You know what I'm
The
saying?
jewelry, Mike. What type of jewelry are they using there, Mike?
That's the problem always. 'Cause I always send the women out for looking at their own jewelry. I send them out looking at different stores, different manufacturers. Do I use a handle? Do I use a knob? Do I put a cup on the drawers to be able to pull them out easy? And the answer is yes. Whatever you think is great. If you're happy, I'm hysterical at that
That's
point.
great, Mikey. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so I've kept that up now. I'm doing now smaller builders who do 2-3 homes a year, up to 10 homes a year, which is a different trend compared. Homes are more interesting. We're giving more details, more direction. Appliances have increased to more choices and more options. And to this day, I mean, I'm still in the cabinet business, still doing commercial work, still doing different parts of the homes, the family rooms, the great rooms.
Custom work, Mike. So a lot
A
more
lot of
custom
custom
work
work.
now.
Yeah, I
so
really am.
why don't you tell the folks now, you know, as you proceeded now as doing this stuff and dropping in, more like a design professional and a consultant to come in and design things.
I'll give you an idea. A contractor called me up 3 months ago. He says, Mike, I do a lot of kitchens with this fella. And he says, I've got a customer I'm doing a lot of work with, and he wants a wall unit in his living room.
Right, here we go. Exactly.
And a fellow and his wife both have ideas what they want to accomplish. They want to take the wall unit, and they've got young children. They want to include maybe a light desk area, an entertainment section, and possibly a spot for the computer. They have an idea of those components that they want to put in, a fireplace, a TV. So we collected all the components, and then we drew up what they wanted with concealed liquor cabinet, concealed this and concealed
hidden
that.
compartments, Mike.
A lot of that. So
Earl's
the kids
not here
wouldn't
to
get
discuss that. Okay.
So now they've already received the cabinet, and they like the job so much. I was just told that they're putting the shekels together. They're getting ready to do another room.
Very nice, Mike. See, so it just keeps going into the next room and the next room, then the next level, maybe
I have
downstairs.
a job going on right now in Warwick with a couple, Richie and his wife.
Yes, Adeline.
Adeline, I was just thinking about the job. They're doing a beautiful kitchen. Mm-hmm. It's a maple painted antique with a glaze to it. And,
I can't wait to get over there and get some food going.
Yeah,
Adeline's
she's
when she breaks that thing open, forget about it.
It should be great. And then they just called me up. They said, Mike, I'd like to finish up the room and do a bar. So we just finished designing that, and we're going to be working on the bar and probably getting it ready right after, if we can, before Christmas.
Before Christmas, because I need a scotch over there at some point.
I know. Richie asked me today. He called me up asking for that one.
Okay. Well, we're pushing it along.
So the gamut runs from anything from a household situation of custom, standard, and middle grade to commercial, whether it be a library. I've already built.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about the commercial facilities, like you did this the dealership there, so maybe there's a guy out there who's listening to this in his dealership thinking about redoing the interior.
I just got a call from a contractor who's pretty large in Rockland County. He does a lot of mason work, and he was putting on a double edition on a Ford Mercury dealership. But Richie knows me a long time. He said, Mike, we're going into this deal. I need you to take care of all interior situations, not just the kitchen upstairs. I need the service room. I need the rental room. I need the platforms. I need all these other rooms
service
designed.
Desks, all that
made and designed for the job, so it comes out custom. The display cabinets in the showroom, all that stuff was made. And every time we finish up another job, he says, you know what, well, just one more thing I need. Just one more thing.
Yeah.
We just finished up the X-ray facility, a brand new one that went up in Rockland also. We took care of the entire interiors of that one, from reception area right through to the X-ray room itself.
Exactly. So so Mike does a lot more than some people might have thought based on some of the emails we're getting. He also is involved with some commercial work. So anybody listening out there today gets a little more background as to what Mike's forte is.
I'm on a job right now we just looked at last week before the holidays, and the woman wasn't sure, but she wants to increase the space, and she had never thought of opening up a particular section of the building into a dining area to be able to have grandchildren come back in her house. Welcome back, folks. It's ABC's at Home Improvement, and your co-host, Mike Ash. We're just discussing a little bit of biography about ourselves, so you get a better idea what we're all about and why we're on the air and why we enjoy talking to everyone. I was just discussing my background to the point where I am here today, working with those in the industry, kitchen cabinets or other industry areas of commercial and residential. But how I met Lee was back about 25 years ago. Let me introduce you right now to Liborio Durario, our friendly neighborhood architect.
Thank you, Mike. I'm glad to be here with you today.
You and I have been co-hosting
I can't believe it's
a long
25
time.
years. So you met me when I was like 2.
Yeah, I was rocking you all the time, kid.
Unbelievable. So it's been that long, huh? Yes, yeah. we have had our share of fun, Mike, in the past 25 years when we got to know each other. It's unbelievable. The time flies and families grow and things change, So
how many kids you have now?
So now, today I have 3 children, Mike, as of today. Because, 4 years ago, I only had 2.
We have lucky Greg these days.
Yeah, Greg came along, later on, and great to have him.
Well, he balances out the act. You got 2 girls and a boy now.
He keeps you agile. Make sure you can get in and out of those sports cars and take a hit at 55.
So how about a little background with yourself?
Well, so let's see. Let's skip right to where I started working, Mike, because the rest of it is somewhat criminal in nature.
You don't want to go back that far.
Well, let's see. I started off as well as you, Mike, going through the elementary school phases and all the way up through high school. Played some sports and started a entrepreneurial club called the Frogmen's Association to raise funds for myself and 6 other guys at finance parties and so forth for people whose parents were away on vacation, and we supplied the beers and the drinks and the food to some of these parties, and it was a lot of wild times back then, Mike. So
well, they come and they go.
They come and they go. And then off to college, I went out to Kansas State University.
Were they ready for you, though?
The Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas. They were not ready for me. When I arrived out there, and since they knew I was from New York, they figured, and my father was a police officer down in Gracie Mansion for many years, that they knew he was a cop, and they said they figured that I came from New York City, and they wanted to know if Kojak was actually really what it was like in New York City back then. That was the show, Kojak. Right? So I had to inform them that yes, it was, and therefore I already had the tough guy thing going out there just by a television show that paved the way for me. So it was a lot of fun. Disco was just hitting. It was 1978 when I was out there, so disco had made its way through the East Coast and the West Coast areas, and now it was stuck out in the Midwest, so I was trapped with it for 3 years.
So you're still one of those platforms.
I was glass dance floors and platform shoes, and actually back then it was Tony Lamas and Stutzins on the dance floor. But yeah, so we had 3 years out there at Kansas State.
So what'd you do? What'd you go to college for?
Well, I started out.
Besides to get out of New York.
Let's go back to high school a little bit. At a certain point in high school, you're allowed to pick your electives, and I was picking study halls, and my parents therefore picked for me mechanical drawing. So that's how I got started on my path to becoming an architect. It was by mandate by my parents. So thank you. I have to say thank you for that. But at the time, it was kind of trying because all my other friends were cutting out and running around, and I was stuck there. So I got thrown out of that class. All of the good things by the teacher because I was a troublemaker in there. But really decided that I liked it. So by the end of high school, I had taken all the classes that were available in drafting and created a couple of my own studios instead of taking study halls. That's what I did.
So you doodled on the cover mostly.
So yeah, that was it. I was drawing submarines and so forth, and designed my own house when I was a senior. That was my project, was to design a house and do an entire set of working drawings. So I was pretty much versed with all of the drafting and so forth. So when I went to college, most of these guys and gals that were in the program had never even picked up a set of drafting equipment, just decided they wanted to become architects. So I was making money doing some people's drawings for them initially because everybody as a freshman, some guys wanted to goof off and party, other guys had a heavy workload. The architectural program, the pre-architectural program for 2 years was an intense 23-credit program. And it was intended to weed out people that really weren't meant to be in the program.
Makes sense.
So I made sure that the people that were around me that I liked, I did their drawings so they got up to the next level with me.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be supported.
I met gentleman Scott Brewer, who was from Laramie, Wyoming, and his parents were in charge of they manufactured the oil drilling rigs that were running around throughout the Midwest and the Northwest areas up there. And he was... his girlfriend was Amy Pillsbury of the Pillsbury family, so the drawings helped me out meet some interesting people of the Midwestern area, and I traveled through St. Louis and Cheyenne and Laramie and up through the foothills and met some interesting folks because of that. And spent a lot of my time actually doing some artwork, doing sculpting out in Kansas. Limestone is the stone of choice out there because that's what the stone substructure is. So there was a lot of limestone available, so we were carving that, and I spent a lot of time doing 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional drawings, life drawing, figure drawing, and really investigating art. I was almost getting out of the architecture and going into art as a major, and the letter from home came and said that's absolutely not going to happen, and so I redirected myself back into the architecture program. And then from there I transferred. I wound up transferring. One of the professors, David Bell, at Kansas State, liked my work, and he transferred to RPI a year in front of me. And then I went in he asked me to come up to the school, and it was a big difference in tuition, so we worked out an arrangement where I wound up getting almost a full scholarship for the year up to Rensselaer Polytech.
Your father must have been very happy with that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was good. He wasn't happy with the increase in the tuition. Yeah, the plane fare was cheap compared to the tuition. So needless to say, I transferred up into Troy, New York, and I spent the next 3 years there pursuing 2 degrees in building science and architecture. And again, meeting some interesting folks along the way. One of my friends, since I was a transferee, I met some of the guys that also transferred in from other programs. And one of them was George Tabbitt from the AA in London. And his folks ran a company called Fralin Limited, which is one of the larger conglomerates over in the UK. And I also met this gentleman named Jim LaCancellara, who his father owns a construction company down in Manhattan, which he now is working for. So there were some interesting folks there that I met, and circles of those people and their friends that we met also were very interesting. And then from there, Mike, I actually graduated. It took a while, and I got out.
Sounds like it took a long time.
I got a few degrees, though, so I grabbed some paper when I was on my way, and then I decided to go see what it was like to work. But I actually was working. I was working throughout my entire college career, so I'm going to throw that in there. When I was out of Kansas, there was a guy. I was in a fraternity for a year. My first year there, I met some guys from Somers, New York, Germantown, New York, Media, Pennsylvania, Wappingers Falls. So there was a local clique of guys, let's say, that were in this fraternity, and they pledged me right in because I was out of New York. And I spent a year there. Then I went off campus. And that 1 year at the fraternity, I did not really work, per se. I made a few dollars here or there doing the drawings my freshman year. But then I moved off campus with a couple of guys from the house. And next door was a guy named Mel, and he had this truck called Big Red. And Big Red left at 7:30 every morning with an explosive exhaust boom going out of the driveway. So rather than, I was waking up, and I figured I didn't have any classes till 11 or 12. Most of my classes were afternoon studios. So I said, if I got to wake up every morning, I said, I'm going to ask this guy for a job. And so take me with you. If I got to wake up and listen to that thing, it takes you 10 minutes to clear the driveway. The houses were right on top of each other where I was living. So Mel hired me, and that's where I did my first walking on rafters and framing work and roofing and gutter work with him for a year while I was out of Kansas. And then I wound up getting a work-study program thing my last semester at Kansas State before I transferred in. And then when I went to RPI, it was work-study. So I always had something going on and something to make some extra income, which I would tell everybody that's the way to go. Especially since if you don't, there is no money to spend, and everybody else is running around. So
you don't get a chance to get out.
So you don't get to do that, right? So we did that. Needless to say, again, my friends are all graduating. I still have 2 years left. They're all working at jobs making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I'm sitting there with $10 in my pocket and a toothpick. And so they'd come and visit, and they'd help me out, and we'd have some fun, and we'd go out for the weekends and so forth. And I got through those last 2 years up at RPI, but like I said, I met some interesting folks. And I wound up graduating. And in between there, the year before I graduated, I actually started looking for a drafting job, and I did start working with Jim Tanner. Remember that? So I was actually working for an architect maybe a year before I got out of college, and I worked for him for a little while until I was going to get married in 1985, and decided that I wasn't getting a piece of the action, so I was moving out onto my own, Mike. I was venturing out there. So I got a little knowledge and a little experience there, and I moved along to another architect, Bill Eli Cohn, right? Remember William
Bill,
Cohn?
Yeah.
And I learned some things from him as well. I worked for him, I think, for 14 days, 14 long days, right before Christmas, and then I left, and I've been out on my own ever since.
So what are you going to do when you grow up?
When I grow up, I don't know. Oh, we have a call. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Lee Boy, what's up, buddy?
Who's this?
This is Larry from Mechanical.
Hey, Larry, how are you?
What's up, buddy?
Good to hear from you. Nothing. We were just going through the, Larry also now. I'm going to throw Larry's back in my history. So we're doing the biography show here. And we were just talking about the high school days. And here you are. Here's another friend of mine from high school that I'm telling we know Mike 25 years. So I know Larry probably more than 30 years. And Larry's in the air conditioning business. And he was actually called in on one of our shows a couple of weeks back. What are you doing today, Larry? Where are you at today?
Well, I had to pass Marcello's, one of his places. I don't do work in Rockland County. I was called in because a lot of companies, whoever it was, screwed up. They did a lot of faulty things. And he's very upset, very fed up. He can't run a company like that, especially a refrigeration business.
Unbelievable.
On meats. And
let's tell the folks out there, Marcello's is a restaurant, and he's got 2 locations, one in Suffern, New York, and one in Hohokus, New Jersey, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And I just passed by, and I wasn't surprised to see what I saw. How's that?
Well, here we go, Larry. Now, here's a man that's been a technician for over 30 years in the field, and he can diagnose any sort of problem you have with your air conditioning or heating and cooling systems. And I know from experience he's done that, of course, with my systems, which I said a few weeks back. But go ahead, Larry. Tell us a little bit about what you found there.
Well, excuse me.
Just don't mention the guy's tag that's on the thing that did the work before.
No, he's already in the basement.
Exactly.
Well, we found, actually, like I said, I don't do work in the county. I was called in just to look. There's no law against that.
Yeah, consulting. Very good. That's right.
There's something when you bring tools on a job and you start servicing, that's a whole different story.
Exactly.
Actually, I found they bypassed one of the overloads to keep the compressor running until it blows. And they left the coils wide open, which aren't, theoretically, that's fans. So the air is bypassing through the coil to cool out in the refrigeration system.
So it sounds like it's not working well at all.
Overload.
Well, no, he destroyed the compressor,
Yeah.
which is, I believe, here's a good thing for his behalf. If he can get a guy to do it, I made some phone calls to him. There's a possibility the last mechanical company that said it's not under warranty, but funny to say, they come with 5-year warranties on the motor, and the motor's possibly under warranty. So if I can get the warranty for him,
He'll be happy
I'll bring him the compressor. It's up to him to get a guy to do it.
Yeah.
And basically, that's about $500-600 there.
I'm sure that he's very happy with that, Larry.
Well, he better make a good plate of fresh mozzarella for me.
Yeah, the buffalo
for sure.
mozzarella. That's it. And the steak tartare. I was down there this weekend, and we all know Marcello. Marcello's a good man, and he has a great restaurant, some great stuff there. And, yeah, I had the steak tartare there. So, yeah, you better make us some good mozzarella. You're right.
Yeah, so there's quite a few things. They bypassed a lot of things on the other units.
Well, Larry, listen, why don't you throw out your company name and phone number, just so if somebody else, again, like we was talking when Mike was doing his biography clip here, people think he's just on kitchen cabinets, but he does, he does automobile commercial work and medical work. So if somebody's out there listening and they need some of this stuff, Larry, commercially as well as residentially, throw your name out there so they can hear it and a phone number.
It's Air Mechanical, 917-662-2255 or 888-331-2473. I'd like to say to everybody that, you know what they say, when you get involved with friends, you rather keep it all business. But Mike and Lee have been a great hand to me, too. I'm building an extension in Pomona, and Mike has to be working with my wife for about a week, and she's extremely happy. I hope she's happy with the cabinets, not with Mike.
Yeah, well, I hope so, too,
I
Larry.
appreciate that update. I'll know where to take it from there.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, we're looking forward to that project. That's a great one. And actually, during the show, if that starts in our fall show here, going in through the winter now, we'll take the folks through that step by step as we start the construction process. We might actually do a remote from your site there, Larry.
Yeah, well, modern technology, you never know. But as we say, as far as Marcello does own a few other spots that he just asked me to look at and just give him an upgrade, what I feel as his personal assistant there. And I'm not too happy with it. I'm not too happy. There's a lot of stuff that it takes 20 minutes to look, 10 minutes to take a look at something, and it takes just a short time to say, hey, this is what you have to do to keep this baby running, or it could last for a certain time. It all depends on the
Either pay me
business
now or
conditions.
pay me later.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But at least give them the choice.
Well, most customers, they don't want to pay later. They'd like to get it once, and get it done, but they want it reasonable. These days you have to be reasonable. Not everybody, it's like going to a doctor. You're afraid to go to the doctor. You're also afraid to hear what's happening. As soon as you walk in, it says, do you have insurance?
Yeah.
They don't look at you if you're coughing away. They say, look, that's it. Insurance or nothing.
I heard the one guy, when he went into that walk-in box, he said the only good part here left is the door.
Yeah, well, guess what? It's got a lot of stuff that has rotted over.
So that's what happens, of course. I mean, and if it's not maintained and things are happening.
You know what's good about you, Larry? You've been around long enough that you don't need every nickel anymore. You can go in and help a friend out, tell them the right way of doing something. And if you get the machinery, that's good. If you get the labor, that's good. But you're there basically to carry the word, and recommendations all come from that as it goes along.
Exactly.
Too.
It's great. It's great.
Well, what's happening at this point, I was recommended by somebody in authority, sent me paperwork. They would like me in Rockland County to do the mechanical.
So that's it. So you go and you take care of business.
We're attempting. Excuse me.
Solid.
We're attempting to take the license in the future. Maybe we can help out a few people. You get your happy customers, and you get some people that they know what's going on.
Exactly.
They just didn't want to put time into it. You listen to the storytelling
We got
time,
another call.
and then we walk and we say, look, no stories. Show me the unit. Show me, let me tell you what's going on, and it's the ball's in your park.
That's
Larry,
it.
thanks for calling. We got another call coming in.
I do want to say hello to my wife. Hello,
Okay.
Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle, how are you?
Rochelle. I'll
We'll
see
say
you
hello
soon
to
again.
All right,
I'll
Larry,
see you
thanks.
guys during the week.
All right,
Take care.
thanks for the call.
You too.
Goodbye.
Thanks for the
Bye-bye.
call, Larry. Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go out on a break right now, and we'll come back with the last segment, a little bit on me and a little slight bit on Earl.
We're back, folks. The ABCs of Home Improvement. This is Mike Ash. We're just giving a little background about ourselves this afternoon. And we left off with Laborio, which we call Lee over here.
That's right, after the call from Lewis. Always nice to hear from you, Lou. Taking care of business as usual. I like that.
Yeah, he's been doing that for a long time also.
Okay, so yes. So where were we, Mike? I was just starting to put the pencil to paper. Back then, computers were just breaking on the scene in the 80s. Silicon Graphics was the computer of choice for 3D animation. So I was doing heavy work initially with builders, stock drawings, but I always wanted to get into the computer stuff.
More creative.
Right? And so I think it was 1987 or 86, a year after I got married. No children yet. Investing in my first Apple computer, which was like $6,000 for an Apple CX, an Apple II CX.
Today you can't get
Today
more.
they're less than a penny. And the program that I was using was Architrion back then. And that was like a $6,000 program as well. So the setups were running $10,000 or $11,000 back then. But I was the only guy in town here, as well as partially in the city back then, that was doing animations, and that got me some big jobs like the Sloatsburg's ambulance building, the senior citizens complex there in town, and a couple of other larger commercial jobs. And I am self-taught on that, Mike. So it's another avenue. Is people had a choice of getting on that computer graphics while they were in college. When I was in college, it was just on the forefront. And it was AutoCAD at the time, and it was very tedious commands and very time-consuming to create shapes and forms. And as time progressed, now, moving forward 20 years, it's unbelievable the capabilities that you have for, $5,000 or less now, Mike. You can set up a station. So
computers are cheap. Everything is less.
Well,
than that
if you figure. The programs now are down around $2,000, and the computers are $2,000, and the plotters $2,000 or $3,000.
Here you're doing automation. Here you're doing computers. Here you're working on your own. And were you working primarily with contractors and builders, or what?
And contractors and builders and homeowners. I was again word of mouth.
See, today I know you do a lot of additions.
Lots of additions. I got involved with a lot of associations like you did, Mike. Rotary, down at Suffern there for a long time, running spaghetti dinners and fundraisers, in charge of fundraising as usual. Got involved with the politics in Sloatsburg there for a while, and the PTA, raising funds for the PTA down in Sloatsburg before I had children or anybody in the system. Just meeting new people and networking, and that's how the business just keeps going. And I continue to do that today as well.
I know you do.
And hence we roll forward again, and we meet Rich and Frank here at the station. We put together a little show here, and we start airing some of these things and getting some people involved.
See, we're at a point in our lives now that we've been doing this long enough that we can answer questions when they call up.
Absolutely.
It could be as simple as a humidity question, as simple as a raft question, a termite question. I mean, normal things that come up in everyday lives.
Absolutely, and we'd like to, again, this was a holiday weekend here, Thanksgiving, and we still had 2 calls for estimates out there for American Design and Build. Earl's not here today. We thought we'd hear from him, but I think he was out in Connecticut this morning, and then he was in Dutchess later on today, so he may not be in the listening area per se.
It keeps the company moving, too.
Right, so he's keeping everything going, and we are going to, somewhere in the near future, have somebody come in that's going to be replacing Earl as the salesperson involved with American Design and Build to come out and meet with you folks. So we're going to be restaffing in the Orange County area, and yeah, we're enjoying the communication we're having with you folks out there. Definitely, it seems to be a good vehicle here, Mike.
Yeah, we do well. We're getting calls in from Monroe. We're getting calls in from Warwick and the areas of nearby. And
Yeah.
we're pretty excited about some of the basement work that's coming up for the winter. And I'm looking forward for additional cabinetry because in the basement, I'm building cabinets down there also.
That's
as you
right.
know.
That's right. Yep, absolutely. Those are big jobs. And yeah, we are looking, to hopefully put a couple of these basement jobs on the schedule now for February and March. So if you're thinking about doing something out there, give us a call at 651-1110 here, or give us a call at 283-6763, and let us know that you're interested. We'll come out and we'll give you a hand, or at least discuss your project with you.
They give you some choices
yeah,
and options.
Exactly. So, Mike, so that's it. Let me talk a little bit about my family. My wife, Lori, I met her many, many years ago, 20-some-odd years ago, Mike, at a friend's party as well, John Sadowski.
John.
And we got married, and we went to Paradise Island for the honeymoon. Very
Nice.
nice. And came back, and again, started my own company right after
Bunch
that,
of
Mike.
newlyweds still, I can tell.
That's it. Well, I enjoy life, Mike, So, and like Scotty said, I'm still swimming out there. It's going to be 60 degrees all week this week, and I'm going to be jumping in my pool, Mike, this afternoon. So,
Oh, good.
and yeah, I have 3 wonderful children, Jillian, Gabrielle, and Greg. Okay.
I know them
And
all. They're really on
my
this.
one daughter, Jillian, is starting high school this year as a 9th grader.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Gabrielle is in 6th grade, starting middle school.
Another one's hard
And
to
Greg is 4 years old, just trying to get his way up into the kindergarten area. He's working his way through. So
He's got to make himself known. Also, he's the youngest.
that's it. And like I said, he keeps you young and agile, Mike.
So what's Lori actually do?
My wife is actually a nurse practitioner, and she's a family practitioner. She works up here in Orange County, seeing patients, checking for illnesses, well checkups. She also works with the Central School District, Ramapo Central School District. And
She's got a great personality
yeah,
for that.
she's very good. She's very good. She enjoys what she does. She's been doing it for 25 years or more. She's only 30. She started when she was 5. She knew it was a calling. And we've been together for, like I said, 25 years, raising our family in Montebello, New York, and enjoying life day by day. And always fun to see your kids smiling. So that's the thing. Every morning, as long as everybody's smiling, that makes the day great. And when you come home, they're smiling again. That makes it even better. So
I know you've been busy running around with all the activities they're doing also.
right. And I have my in-laws in town for the holidays, so they're taking little Greg around a little bit. So it's a little less running around for me and Lori per se for the next couple of weeks. So it's good, and they
That's
enjoy
good.
it. They come up. It's the fountain of youth for them. So yeah, that's it. And we're down to a minute, Mike. So a little bit about Earl. I know Earl since kindergarten. I know him since, like I said, he was a little shaver. And we're gonna let him speak about himself next week for 5 or 10 minutes, so you get to know a little bit about Earl before he disappears into the mountains of Montana out there. So give us a call. It's a pleasure speaking with you folks out there and giving you a little information about who your hosts are.
We had a great Monday on the holiday weekend.
Yes, and we're looking forward to doing some green building talk next week, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be interesting and enlightening at the same time.
Enlightening at the same time. So we're signing off here from the ABCs of Home Improvements. Lee and Mike from the ABCs of Home Improvement, 1110, signing off.
Enjoy the week. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week to the ABCs of